of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Champlain. Here. Trustee McFetrich. Here. Trustee Trombley.
Here.
Trustee Garrett. Here. Mayor Martin.
Here. Motion to approve the minutes of December 9th, 2013.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Deletions, additions? I think this deal with DJ Prescott is already paid off.
You good?
They've done a 10-hour course on safety, OSHA training, and confined space training, and he's already started the inventory, so
That's
I
great.
just wanted to thank the board for doing that. Anything on the minutes? All in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Now, the fun part of the job. Presentation of the tree lighting awards. Thank you all for all that you did. Made the village very proud. Trustee Garrett, would you like to do the awards, please?
I will. This year we had a new judge, and we don't disclose who our judges are. So we kind of changed up the categories from what we had announced after going around the village several times and coming up with what we wanted to pick. So we added a unique category because this one home on Main Street here had a very new, unique light. And we found that to be very fascinating and wanted to bring that to the attention. It was very therapeutic, actually, and I found out from Juanita that your neighbor will watch the lights and become very relaxed watching it. And it was a very unique dripping light that just kept dripping, one after the other. It's really kind of cool. So a new category, and new and innovative, put you into a third place category, which is wonderful. And this year we have prizes. Cumberland 12 was very generous and gave us movie tickets, so you have a night out at the movies on Cumberland 12, so we really want to make sure we thank them. So to the Ketterers, congratulations. Come on up. Come.
It's your chance to get on camera.
There you go, congratulations, and thank you. And did you climb on a ladder to get to that third peak section of lights? Oh, you walked out the window? Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. So that was the other thing, that lights were on every tier of this house, including the very tippity tip that would make the most of us just very nervous, to say the least. So congratulations, thank you. And in second place, we have the Duquettes. This was an overall, as the other judge said, just back to basic home for Christmas. And that was the feeling this judge got from it. So congratulations. And you two will also go to the movies on us.
Thank you.
You just have to buy your own popcorn. And in first place is the Bulruses on South Street, and their overall presentation was equally pleasant day and at night, and so they won the overall top award, and they aren't with us this evening, but congratulations. They are receiving a $25 gift card to Price Chopper, so thank you, Price Chopper. Thank you all for all of you in the community who did decorate for this holiday season. Thank you, and good luck getting it all down in this weather, although this weekend kind of helped to get the lower levels down anyway. I myself will not be going up onto the upper levels till it's totally dry, so thank you very much, everyone.
Well, thank you, Amy, for doing this. We all appreciate your effort. It's a tough job. Now, presentation of petitions, communications, notices, general question period for members of the community.
So I
I'm going to introduce Andrew Visconti, who has agreed to be our youth liaison to the board.
All right, welcome.
He's a sophomore at Northeastern Clement and lives up on Oak Street. And he's just going to say a few words to you.
Excellent.
So, as I was talking to Mrs. McFetrich before, most of my ideas for the new recreational area has already been mentioned, like the new playground, because we don't have one anymore because of the same areas.
Mhm.
But the main thing I would like is a soccer field. This way, we won't have to travel to Ross's Point for mini mice or anthem or anything else.
Well, I don't know if we have the open area for one, but maybe an abbreviated version could be adopted.
Mini mice field or
Yes, I think down on the River Street Park, on the side away from the river.
That's exactly what I thought too.
Might give us enough space there.
All right.
That's a good suggestion.
And, well, like I said, most of the ideas I've noticed that you've already thought of playground, basketball field, and benches and signs for this ice rink.
Well, we may be needing some help in the future from some high school students to come down and help us achieve all of these things. That would be greatly appreciated. You may have noticed this young man's name in the paper a lot. He's quite a shooter.
Yeah.
Enters a lot of competitions and does a very good job, excellent job. So we'll expect you at board meetings on a regular basis somewhat?
Yeah,
Very good, very good. Welcome aboard.
thanks.
Does anyone have a question?
Yeah, if you have any questions, he'll be your voice of the students.
Well, can we direct them to you? And then-
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
and then you can come to the meetings and...
Have you had any feedback or heard from the kids on what's happened so far down there and with the Frisbee golf? Is there any talk about it and the ice
No.
rink going in?
No, not that much.
Okay.
Well, I think what you ought to do is get yourself a team. We'll go down on the Frisbee golf course and we'll have a competition.
Actually, was some playing today.
Was there?
Really? Well, it's a year-round sport, so.
I can see people down there in snowshoes.
Wow. It's gonna be tough right now, the ice.
Well, welcome aboard, sir.
Thanks, Andrew.
And thank you, Andrew, for being involved.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you. Have the report for Mr. Tetro, approach enforcement?
Well, you have my report for the month of December, for a short month with the holidays and vacation and everything else.
No, we don't have a report from you.
Did we?
No.
I don't have it. I thought maybe it was just me.
No.
I thought I was going
Give it to me to say, no, I ain't got one.
Oh, well, I guess it's coming.
Well, you can tell us what it's about.
Yeah, I mean,
tell us.
it's just the same old thing. But I'm sure everyone, what's on everybody's mind is the project out on Cedar Street. I finally got a hold of the gentleman before the meeting, and I don't believe he has any set schedule to accomplish anything. He did mention that he has bought the materials to redo the roof and there on the inside, but the governor issued a state of emergency, so that halted construction. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do with this, but, you know, his feeling is that if you want to litigate it, he's more willing to litigate it, or he's going to build it at his own pace if and whenever he gets around to it. Claims he has a contractor. I've tried calling the contractor a couple of different times, and he doesn't answer his phone, so.
Who's the contractor?
Wade Ebert.
I don't think Mr. Hebert is overly excited about doing this job.
Yeah, I was down there today. Nothing has been done as far as any construction work, any shoring up of the roof as what was reported by the engineer that needed to be done. You know, because of the onset of winter and the snow loads and so on and so forth, the safety issue. He didn't indicate any timeline of when he was going to, you know, actually start building. I mean, getting a few 2x10s and a box of nails, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. I mean,
Well, I think this board has been more than lenient in terms of its time and in terms of its expectations here. I think most of us would agree that really what we wanted was to close up the holes and to, you know, at least protect it from doing any more destruction from the weather. I have seen, or there's nothing that's happened in that building. It still continues to be an eyesore. It still continues to be of great concern to the neighbors in that neighborhood. And I think it's time for this village board to start the legal processes. Have Mike start this on Wednesday when he's here in the afternoon. We need to move this whole thing forward here. I think we've been more than willing to try to help this homeowner out, and so far all we've been is slammed. I would like to do this with a motion.
I make a motion that Mike proceed with the next steps in the legal system of getting some action taken on this house, getting Mr. Marshall involved in whatever your next process will be. But we have been extremely patient. I feel bad for the homeowner, but the neighbors have looked at this house for over 4 years, going on 5. The ice and the snow and the wet that we're having right now is not doing that building any good if it's not shored up at all. We've had promise after promise. It's time.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Any other discussion on that motion?
What was the deadline that we given?
The end of the month.
January 10th.
Okay, so I just want to make sure.
Nothing has been done.
I mean, the permit was a conditional permit to January 10th based on progress and to be reviewed by the board.
Yeah.
And, you know, in my opinion, nothing structurally has been done. You may have a few materials there, I don't know, can't get in the building because of the snow, so. But as far as any actual shoring up or covering over or attempt to repair anything, I don't see any evidence of that.
Are you seeing any further dilapidation with this added ice and snow on that back section? I mean, we don't want a Brown's funeral situation here, you know?
We can't get in to look at it.
I don't think that the ice and the snow and the weight and everything is helped it at all. I mean, the wind is whipping the metal that's loose on there. I mean, the holes are still there, it's still open, it's an unsafe structure, you know? His engineer even identified those same issues in the letter that he wrote us. The guy that designed the plans, you know, he wouldn't basically warranty the project if it went through a winter cycle, so.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? I'll have a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Champlain.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich. Aye. Trustee Champlain.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Any other questions for Mike? I've asked Mike to look at a building down on the corner of Church and Main to call the homeowner on Wednesday to see if we can get some action so we don't end up with another situation like we did on Church Street a couple of years ago. Trustee McFetrich walks by there every day, noticed that there's some bowing out of the building, a crack from the top to the bottom. And it's the same situation as the Papillon building with the brick, like the brick ribs in it or whatever you wish to call them, are kicking out at the bottom. Much the same way.
Is this the old hall?
This is the old,
Yeah.
the old firehouse, the old village hall.
Looks very unstable.
We need to try to get some cooperation from the landowner to address this. We don't want to end up with a many $1,000 demolition project like we did a couple of years ago.
Or someone get hurt.
Or someone gets hurt.
Falls.
That will end up out on Main Street and end up on Church Street, and it's going to cause an issue. So, Mike will take care of that. Any other questions, comments for Mike? Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you for coming.
That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you for coming.
Free popcorn at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to 2014. As you're well aware, this winter weather has put a significant strain on our winter budget and our ability to address the safety needs on our streets. We've already used a significant amount of salt and sand. At this point, middle of January, we have used almost as much salt and sand as we used for the entire winter season last year, and still have about 3 more months to go. Street maintenance is still our priority, and will continue to be for the rest of this winter season. On behalf of myself and the board, I would like to thank Mike and his DPW crew for their long hours, the repair and maintenance of snow removal equipment, and their ability to deal with the snow and ice and keeping the streets and sidewalks safe for our residents. Again, we are asking that you do not park on village streets between midnight and 6 a.m. to facilitate plowing and street maintenance. Please do not park your vehicles on village sidewalks. Keeping sidewalks passable is difficult enough without having to work around a parked vehicle. I think it's also illegal. As a reminder, do not flush disposable wipes down the toilet, as they do not break down and can cause some very serious maintenance problems at the wastewater facility. Water and wastewater bills have been mailed out, and we are asking for prompt payment. Payment by the end of the month is necessary to avoid warning notices and having the water shut off for non-payment. I would like to further my congratulations to our winners in the tree lighting contest. Overall, the village residents did an excellent job decorating their homes over the holiday season. This active participation indicates the pride residents take in their homes and their village, and makes the village a wonderful place to walk through or to ride through and enjoy the great displays for the holiday season. Again, I thank you very much for that. And I hope that you have a very prosperous and happy 2014. Thank you. Trustee Tremblay.
I really don't have much of a report, just to wish everyone a happy new year, and looking forward to another good year within the village, getting some more street work done and
Sidewalks this year.
yes, sidewalks.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that we are already into almost the middle of January, and spring will be upon us before we know it. Thank goodness.
That's wishful thinking.
But Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year to the village residents.
Okay, thank you. Trustee McFetrich.
Okay, I have quite a few things to mention. First of all, this Thursday, the 16th at 6:30 p.m. at the History Center, there will be our first event in the Village of Champlain Cultural Series. So I hope that you all will attend, and everyone who's watching this. It's a discussion on the Ku Klux Klan and the French Americans. I also have some other people who are interested in participating, so I'll schedule them as we go. I also was contacted recently by a resident about establishing some kind of hiking trail or cross-country skiing trail or snowshoeing trail. So she and I decided that we were going to meet on Saturday, and I don't know if you remember the weather on Saturday, but it was pouring down rain, but we did not give up. So with our umbrellas, we walked around the village, the garden, and the playground area, and then we thought we'd go down Mill Street a little bit, and which we did. We had to climb over the big snowbank, and then we tried to find the road, which isn't very visible, and of course the ice and the snow, but we did it. And it's really beautiful down there. So when the snow melts, maybe some of you would like to go down there and
And the village board will still have to give permission to expend funds to pay for some of these extra maintenance issues. It's not going to be automatic. I don't see us doing that. So, as was explained to me by the engineers, or from the engineers, essentially what the village and the town is paying for raw water is essentially the same. Where the difference is in what is being charged for water is the debt cycle, what is owed, and the amount of debt that is owed. So we are well within, and still, if you look at the water rates, what is being charged throughout the state of New York, we are at the lower end of the median. What we charge both our residents and what we charge the town users, the rates are significantly lower than what other municipalities are paying and are supplying other services for water. But with this new debt, and we're talking a significant amount of money here, we can manage this. The village can manage this increased debt by making some tweaking some water and wastewater rates. But we can do this over the 30-year period without causing a huge increase in the amount that our villagers are paying. I think we can also do this without the town experiencing a huge increase in the rates that they are paying. So it works out on both ends, and you'll notice if you went through this and looked at Part C on this Section 8 water charges, the town is going to pay the village for village operation, maintenance, and administration of all town water districts with an annual stipend, which will be subject to negotiations as time goes by. Any major repairs that we have to do in the maintenance and operation of the town's water supply end of this deal will be over and above. They will have to pay for that. We're not going to absorb that cost. We will take over everything. The maintenance, the repair, the billing, all aspects of the town water situation will be done here in the village, as it should have been years ago. And we will be paid for it. So
is the town going to be, the town users going to be charged the rate that we're charging the town, or will the town still be adding to that rate that they're charging? Because there's a misconception out in the community that we, the village, are setting an absorbent rate for the water, but what's happening is they're adding on to what we are charging them and passing it to their consumers.
yes, the way that this works, we have a set charge for the town. Once the town receives the bill, they automatically apply a 10% surcharge. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. A 10% surcharge on top of what they pay us. Then they turn around and they charge a service fee. Now, recently that service fee was increased dramatically.
Yeah, some districts went up.
Some of the districts went up because of the debt issue. Some to the tune of $25 to $60.
I believe so, yes.
And businesses went from 30, I think, or 35 to 100.
I know it was substantial, whatever the number was.
So it is not the village that is causing the rise in these prices for water. And as this project goes along, there will be some modification of what the village is charging, but not in terms of the debt. The town will still be responsible for their debt. We are not going to assume any cost at all. We're responsible for our debt, but nothing for the towns. And they're paying 75% of this project. If you look at Section 8 again, water supply and operation and maintenance is what we charge for usage. B and C are the usage charges. A, B, and C, debt service, water supply, and operation and maintenance administration. That is the charges that we will be applying to the town for the water that they are using. So once a determination is made on the debt service, that will be applied to the town and what the town is being charged. And as explained to me, 25%, the village's share in this project, 25%, and the town's 75%. This was figured by the engineers so that the rates were such that the grant agencies, no, the comptroller's office would approve this IMA. Because there has to be a level, there's a level of what people pay for water that dictates how much money we're going to get for this grant. And right now, we are well within the limits with this contract. I told the town supervisor this afternoon that we would discuss this today, this evening, and we would table this until we get further legal advice on this matter. This will necessitate a short special meeting sometime later this month, a date to be announced. But this,
Not too late, we want to make sure they have
Right.
time to get this in.
right. Well, as long as
Like next week.
we approve, the town, I think, will approve it as well, with some, I suppose, some talk.
Some reservations.
Some reservations, yes, let's use that term. They understand the time frame that this has to be. Again, Mike and I have echoed this thought, Tom has echoed this thought, I think we all have echoed this thought, that this is the time for this project to go forward.
Well, I think everybody agrees with that, it just, for some reason, the wheels turn slow at times.
Well,
If it doesn't happen now, it'll never come around again.
I honestly believe that if it's not going to happen this year, this cycle, our children and grandchildren probably will be sitting here fighting the same battle. And it does benefit the village greatly. It really does benefit this village. Or I wouldn't have spent the last.
So can I ask a question, Rick?
You sure can.
In your conversations this afternoon, did you find out if the two lawyers have had a chance to speak on this yet?
They have not.
Do we?
Do they have an appointment to speak?
Yeah, do we have any?
I was told by the town attorney that he will contact the village attorney tomorrow morning and discuss this IMA. If it doesn't happen tomorrow morning, it's going to be extremely difficult because the village attorney is leaving on Wednesday. We'll be in Florida for a couple days, and then we'll be embarking the coast of Florida on a cruise liner.
So if we don't get him by tomorrow,
Well, he will be
we're not gonna
back.
have
We
conversations before this is done.
We can do it by the end of the month. He will be back by the end of the month. But right now,
No, tomorrow they need to meet.
yes,
They needed to meet a month ago.
the town attorney understands the importance of this meeting.
Okay.
Did you
Because
tell
we
them
had-
the time restrictions with our?
Oh, they're well aware of it, yes.
And our attorney is well aware of it also.
Oh, yes.
He's not going to take any other phone calls but this one tomorrow morning.
I have his cell phone number, so I can pass that on as well.
Yeah, do that. So they can text, hang up, I'm calling.
But that's where this is. I just want you to know,
Perfect.
after a lot of back and forth here,
Well,
not as
thank
much
you
as
for all your work
necessary.
on that.
But if I didn't believe that this was beneficial for this village, I mean, the water softening aspect of it alone
Right.
is about $1.75 million project, part of this project. Just that alone makes this whole thing worthwhile.
The increased fire flow should go a long ways to lowering insurance rates also.
Yeah,
Yes, that's right.
and this will
You know,
significantly.
people don't think about that, but
No, they don't.
that's a big thing.
And and this will address the pressure issues on Prospect Street. If we don't do it with this project, if this project falls through tomorrow, we're gonna have to go out, hire an engineer, and somewhere's probably between $800,000 and $1 million, set up a pressure system on the top of Prospect. Those folks have waited too long.
Well, let's hope that the stars align and the warriors get together.
I hope so.
In regards to the paragraph that I know some members had issues with, I just want to say that this is a 5-member committee that is being formed. This isn't a actual water board which has control of this. The village still is going to be owner and operator of the water and the wastewater plant.
Yes.
In regards to that, this board has to have final control over any rates that are set, any financial matters at all.
Yes.
I have no problem with that committee making recommendations for
Well, actually,
consideration, but
you bring up a very interesting situation, because I envision at least one, if not two, trustees from the village sitting on that committee.
yeah, and so those rates can be discussed and worked out. It doesn't mean that that committee should have control of it though.
That's right, it's an advisory.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the only point I'm trying to make.
Yep, very good, that's a good point. Okay, so I'll keep you up to date on that matter. We need to schedule a public hearing. Need a motion to schedule a public hearing for local law 1 of the year 2014 for the local law. You have this as correspondence number 6. We have talked about this in the past, about adopting this proposal for the best value procurement, part of our procurement policy. We need to amend Chapter 89, procurement policy, amended and supplemented by the addition thereto of a new section, 89.8, entitled Award Based for Low Bid or Best Value. And then it goes on to explain, under the local law filing, the purpose, the award based, the applicability, and the standards for best value, plus the documentation to prove that you have made an attempt in terms of the bid process. I would like to schedule a public hearing at our next board meeting, February 10th, at 7 o'clock, for the public to have an opportunity to comment on this law, or this new law. Do I have a motion to do so?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion on this scheduling? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any negatives? Motion carries.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. That's right, I won't be here for that meeting, by the way.
Cross your name off it. Any other new business come before the board?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Christine, for your board meeting.
See,
Thanks,
that's the
Christine.
full meeting,
Yes,
huh?
thank you.
Yeah. It's very, very pretty down there. So that's something that someone had asked me to pick up on, and I thought, well, we are trying to promote fitness, and we've got the disc golf, and we've got the playground coming, and maybe we can get the adults out a little more, and maybe get some kind of walking trail besides just the sidewalks. And then today I sent out a little message asking people if they were interested maybe in a farmer's market in the summer. And the response has been huge, huge. A lot of people are interested in it. And my idea is very, very simple. I like everything low key. I don't like to start big and then really fall hard. So I would recommend that we try to just have fresh produce once a week and have it right down by the playground area, central area. Sometime when people are not working, so probably a Saturday morning. I know that conflicts with Plattsburgh, but a lot of our residents don't go to Plattsburgh.
Yeah.
So this would be perfect. People could walk, drive down. I talked to a couple of farmers already, and they're interested in helping me and suggested I call the cooperative extension. And then I would imagine I have to do with the health department, perhaps. I don't know. I think if it's not cooked and not
I don't think
baked.
so.
I don't think I do, but I want to make sure we do
I
it
would pass
right.
it by them.
So I want to just make sure. So, yeah, I was surprised. A lot of people are very, very interested in that. Then I was also contacted by Angie Bayshard, who lives up Oak Street.
Meridian.
Yeah, Meridian. And she still would like to have that run in memory of Ashley Poisson this spring. She prefers to use the village streets. I had suggested the cross-country course because it's safer. She would rather have it in the village. She and I are meeting next week. It would be similar to the run that we do in August. But if we get a good turnout, I would insist that we have police or border patrol or sheriff or somebody. I want I want people on the roads directing traffic. It makes me very nervous to think we might get 80 people.
I think if you contact the county, you'll get help from the county.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
They've done us with it.
okay, that's good to know.
We also
Maybe the border
volunteers
patrol, I
that
think
do
you could call and ask people.
Yeah, because we have a turnaround up on Oak Street that, you're turning around in the road. You just need somebody up there.
They'll be there. Turn around again, the River Trail will be there.
Yeah, no, quite that far.
By the end.
Quite that far, just beyond the village limits. But she really, really wants it in the village, which I think is good. I mean, she wants to promote that this village is all about physical activity, that they remember a young woman from the village that was killed. She
Yeah.
wants it here, which I think is a good thing. And I'll know more about that after next week. And then finally, I just want to say thanks to you, Mike, and your crew for keeping these sidewalks, doing what you can in these streets and everything. It's just unbelievable. Just overwhelming to me, and I walk every day and I see how good things are looking, and it's great. And then also thanks to Mayor Martin for all you do. I know you work here tirelessly.
Well, I don't know about tirelessly.
Well, every time I stop by, you're here, and you look like you're working.
Every day.
Yeah, so I do thank you for that. I want you to know that I recognize that. And I'm sorry I took so long, but, okay.
No, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
Did you look at, too, for a walking path or cross-country? It's nice going into the cemetery, down off of
Oak Street.
Oak Street.
It's
You know
actually,
what we were
it's actually
thinking is-
bordering where you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yes, Greg and I studied the map
Incorporate the
today, and I was wondering, he understands it better than I do, but it looks like we can almost access it off of Mill up
Yes.
into Willow
Yes.
to,
It's right
Train
there.
tracks.
You know, railroad bed.
on the railroad
It
bed.
sits right below the street.
Yeah, so that would be really nice, because the cemetery is
It's so
beautiful.
beautiful, and
Yeah.
peaceful, and
Yeah, you probably, I don't know if you
Got a
have
good
to
hill.
contact the foundation just to get permission, but I can't see where it's a problem.
Right, right.
There's just that short stretch between Willow and the railroad bed that we would be concerned with. And I know the landowner, and I think she would let us.
Okay, that would
it's
be great.
beautiful. And,
Yeah, I go walking in there summer all the time, I really like it. But I like the idea of getting off the streets a little bit. You feel more with nature. It was beautiful there the other day. It was just funny because it was raining so hard and we kept breaking through the ice and we
Yeah, I was
were
surprised you
laughing.
could walk on
Yeah.
it.
Oh my gosh, it was hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't fall, but we were laughing so.
I'm glad you didn't get hurt, because it's gotta be treacherous out
We'll
there.
have to get Clark down there to film some of these expeditions.
Goodness, well,
Should have a hidden camera on your forehead.
it was funny. Yeah, so if you see Karen Lepardi, say something to her about our walk, because it was pretty funny.
Okay, thank you. And you'll follow up on the farmer's market?
Yeah, I'm gonna start working on that.
Okay, great. Trustee Tremblay.
I don't have much to report, but first of all, thank you, Jen.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, no, really, you do so much, and you're doing such a great job.
Well, thank you.
It-
I just have a really active mind.
That's great, so thank you. And you're always saying everybody else, but you're a great part of this board. Thank you.
Is the retirement fun?
It is when you think of cool stuff like this. I'm just sit home and clean my house,
I wanted to reiterate what the mayor said to the crew, because I'm out on the roads every day. I know what it's like out there. You guys have been working really hard at it. Thanks for doing a good job. Keeping equipment together and everything. So, that's all I have.
And what's really impressive with the roads, if you look at the other roads in the county, if you even look at the Plattsburgh city streets, we by far kick butt on how nice our road is. So really, thank you, because, you know, working in Plattsburgh now and having to cut down some of those side streets, not nice. So really, very, very impressive. I was impressed Saturday night when I heard the plow trucks scraping all that ice off the ground, like, whoa, this hour and they're out. But, you know, you gotta get it when it was slushy, you know, to get that ice off. And, you know, the roads looked a lot better than my driveway.
It's been a strange winter.
yeah.
It's been a tough one.
It has. So, you know, thank you to the crew. Continuing to work on grants, I'm just getting some more detail from Juanita here, so keep plugging it, more grants to keep enhancing the playground area with the combination of looking at grants that will also refurbish equipment, not necessarily buying the new equipment, but help in the cost of refurbishing the items that have generously been donated, because it'd be really nice to keep the Champlain Elementary equipment, because there is a lot of sentimental value in it, and a lot of hard people, a lot of people in this community work very hard to get that playground initially. So we'd like to keep it a piece of our history with, you know, the updating, so looking for financing on that. And that is it for me. Thank you again to those who decorated. We greatly appreciate that. I do have a question for Mike when it comes to your time of tree pickup. That seems to be a question we're hearing, and we're too busy picking up ice to worry about the trees. But again, thank you for what you're doing, and I reiterate, it's nice to have you on board, and it's great, all your wonderful ideas, and if you need help with the farmer's market, that's
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna need that.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. So great.
And you know that Juanita went down and put the squeeze on Lowe's and
I
they came
know.
up with the final 2 seats for the
She
swing
played the
set.
innocent.
Oh,
Geez, I don't know.
Good job, Juanita.
Yeah.
Well, that reiterates really our community, and I've said this over and over throughout the years, you know, how generous our community is in just asking. You know, when we ask for things, you know, people just open up their hearts and their purses and are more than willing to help. And you know, I think that we'll continue to move forward with this project downtown, and, you know, it's going to happen, and people are going to be impressed with the response and how quickly this comes together. You know, this summer, I think, will really start making a difference.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for their patience. Okay, thank you all.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, more. And if anyone out there has skates that your children have outgrown, or that you bought for a great Christmas present and it's still in the box 23 years later, we will be happy to take the ice skates so that we have equipment for those who aren't able to buy skates. They can come and they can borrow it. Same goes for Frisbees, things like that. We want to develop some equipment for the Frisbee golf as well. So anything, basketballs, different things that people can use down there. They can come, sign it out, return it to us. But, you know, there's no need for you to go buy your equipment. We really want to make this a community effort. And on that same hand, if you do borrow our equipment, we ask that you return it in the same condition from which you received it. That's all. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Other report from the clerk treasurer, please?
Everyone has their expense report for December, expense and revenue report. And we also did a water and sewer billing. Our water billing was $54,956.52, and sewer was $92,378.28.
Water low?
No, we're up a little, so we're good.
I know we had the big one last time, so.
Yeah. We also have a list of transfers that need to be done to cover some of our expenses. Our state retirement was up a little, which, hopefully with the recession goes down, it'll go down a little bit next year. We also are transferring some funds out of our fund balance, general fund balance, to cover the new roof that we replaced on our office. We had a new garage roof done, and also for the new sander that was put on the snow removal, for snow removal.
Need a motion to approve these transfers?
Make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Any further explanation than Juanita has given?
I think so.
I mean, we couldn't possibly budget for a new roof over the garage and over the building here. And this new sander, which has been a godsend, I think, for Mike and his group.
Well, it's a good thing we had today, we lost the brakes in the truck, so,
Yeah.
they really keep saying.
Yeah, that truck is nickel and diming us.
That's probably also a good thing with the weather that we had this winter,
Yeah.
that those roofs were done when they were done.
Yeah. It's much easier to maneuver that one time over the roads than just the Peterbilt to Rickham. Any other discussion on these transfers? Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Need a motion to approve the warrant?
Okay, on the warrant, in order to include Chauvin's bill, we used what Greg had got from him the other day. But when we actually received our bill today, there was a difference of $77.51. We originally posted $17,417 for the year. The actual bill was $17,494.51. So there's additional $77.51 that we have to add to the warrant to cover that bill. And we have a list of additional invoices that need to be paid. Our electric bills, Kinsley Power is for the generator maintenance, and one for gasoline.
On these Kinsley Power bills, we have no contract with them. It cost us about $2,500 a year. I think we're going to not use that service any longer.
Okay.
Mike's crew can change the oil, change the filters, and check the battery. Essentially what we're paying for is $125 an hour for this person to go back and forth from
Burlington, I think these guys were from.
Burlington. So I think we're going to sever our service with this group.
I mean, if something major, you can always call them, the regular contract done.
So you'll
So we'll
do
do
the routine maintenance, and you must already start them, we just do it ourselves anyways, don't you? Keep it running?
Yes, they're automatic, the one here, the one at the sewer is automatic. The one we run at the wastewater, at the lift station, and the one at the, usually when we're flushing hydrants, we run the one at the water plant. Those are automatic.
Okay, so it's just filter and oil changes, yeah, I agree. Real citizen.
I mean, we might as well, it seems to be routine enough that we can do it ourselves rather than hire this service out and pay an exorbitant price to have somebody go back and forth. I mean, we have access to the oil filters, the oil, we already have the stuff we need to check the batteries and, the output systems.
Yeah. For instance, one of them, the battery was bad on. We replaced the battery ourselves, the same battery we bought, it's a $100 battery, they wanted like $170 the same battery, it wouldn't come down. So, we did it ourselves.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Again, need a motion to approve the warrant?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the warrant?
So this Kinsley Power, we're not gonna pay.
We're gonna
Yes,
pay it
we
this
have to
time.
Pay
For
it.
them,
They've already came.
We're gonna pay it this time, but that's it, no more after this.
You didn't have a contract with them?
No,
No,
not that I
just
know of.
called them and they would come do their thing?
Actually, they were coming automatically twice a year.
Oh,
I think
So
they
we
used to
need to
have a
let-
contract, and the contract ran out, and they just automatically kept.
they just kept coming back. So they'll be told that they don't need to come back.
That is correct.
I mean, unless something major happens, we have to have them.
Yeah.
Then we can do an on-call thing. Just don't have the regular PM, the regular oil change, and this, the regular maintenance.
Do we need to reword the motion to include these additionals?
Yes, you should.
Yes.
So the motion is to approve the warrant with these additional invoices to be added totaling $2,056.02. And also the additional $77.51 for the insurance.
Is your second, Dave?
Second.
Okay, can I'm sorry to be sick,
Yep.
explain to me one more time this Kinsley thing. So they just charged us this to come out to look at the,
They
for an
changed-
annual?
they
They come, they change the oil, put a filter, run it, test the battery. That's a
So not
regular,
replace the battery,
no, that's just
and all
general.
that for,
We've been doing that for years, it's just, it's a routine service.
well, okay,
That ends now.
okay.
I mean, we got the bill, I thought it was for all of them, and then we got the additional, it was for each.
Each one of the generators.
Wow, that adds up.
So they just build themselves out of a jar now.
They don't come and do it one day, they come a couple days. Do two, and then they'll come back and do two more. And that's from going through the here and back, so they're paying,
Is it once a year or twice a year?
I think they
Yeah,
have
twice a
them
year.
twice a year.
Okay. No, as long as you're able to keep up with that, that's gonna save us some money, Mike, thank
I
you.
mean, it's just general,
Yeah, I
you
know.
know, if you have a breakdown, it's different, you have to get power share, again, is one thing, but as far as the regular general PMs, you know,
It's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments on the warrant? Notice the money that was spent down on the pole light down there, down in the park, looks like center field.
I only got one on, I got the other one off.
I was wondering why it was off.
I put an eye on one side, the other one I left off for now, we really don't need them both on right now anyway.
The retention down there made people look.
When I first drove by
I
the
was
next
thinking
day,
I
I
was
was
probably
like,
driving the people because they live near it, you know?
well, I should've went off on the side toward the house for now,
Yeah.
I mean, plus with the snow, it really illuminates. I thought it was the first thing I drove down, I forgot we had them on, and that the fire department had their lights set up.
The
so
lights up,
fire-
yeah, it is
I drove around
bright.
the corner, I'm like,
But it did, it made you stop and look, and so
It
people
did.
see, oh, look what's happening.
So also made them notice the lights in the village park down in the small park, Christmas lights.
Well, that was beautiful.
That's-
we took those down today, they're all down.
Are they?
We just gotta do the polls now, maybe this week.
Oh gosh, it's only the 10th. The snowflakes look nice.
Oh, Santa Claus is gone, put him to bed.
Have a roll call,
Snowflakes have
please.
nothing to do
Approve the
with
warrant.
Santa.
Have a roll call, please. Approve the warrant.
Get with it. Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Report from the superintendent.
Yeah, we have been staying busy, keeping our sidewalks and roads clear. It's been very time consuming with this sleet and ice that we had. So, a lot of them, the sidewalks and stuff, we've been having to clean with a loader because the sidewalk machine just won't get through. And we still have a few that we trying to get through to finish. We installed a new heater at the district room because that one, the generator does not come on by itself. And if you're in there, there's nothing, so it was very inexpensive. We put a battery backup emergency light in there, and some GFI outlets that we needed. We also fabricated some baskets for the wastewater plant for our outside haulers. Some new baskets that were actually some of the old baskets from the bagging system that we modified, and that's what we use, and some hydrant flags to get on our hydrants. We've got a few water meters we've changed out that we've found different issues with. The old style readers Some of them, the dogs chewed the wires off, some of them, just different issues.
That's no excuse for the
We
dog.
upgraded them to the new style meter, which, the census meter, which that's all the ones we've been changing them to those. The heater in the garage, out here, the one that quit, I was able to, get apart. I got that fixed and put 2 new, pipes under the ice, crushed the vent pipes. Actually, we finished that today. We still are in the process, like I said, moving some snowbanks and, cleaning some ditches to try to keep the water off the roadways. There's still a few spots that we're gonna have to probably tomorrow look at, that the water is, traveling across the roadways. Our skating rink is there.
The
So
weather has
hoping Mother Nature will give us a hand with that.
to cooperate a little bit.
Yeah, we had, some issues with the sleet and the ice that we had there. We had to get that out. We tried shoveling it out, and we had to use a small tractor and scoop it out. Punched plastic in a few spots, and, but we're hoping that, if we get some more cold weather, we can put some thin layers of ice here, and people will be able to use it here shortly.
And we have lots of volunteers to help us out.
Yeah. If anybody has any issues in the village, please call us to see what we can do to address them. Because if we don't know about a problem, we can't take action to try to fix it. So if there's, if you have a question about something, call here, and at least we'll see what we can do to take care of it. I want to thank the DPW crew for doing a great job. There's extreme cold temperatures in the last few weeks. They've been very busy outside. I also want to mention Christmas tree pickup. Anybody that has Christmas trees, we have been going around and picking them up, but if you just put them on the curbside, we will stop by and pick them up. If you'd rather bring them up to Elm Street across from the library, that's been plowed out, you can drop them there as well. Please don't leave, ornaments, and we found some with tree stands on them, and I think people just, yeah. So, no garbage, it's gonna be, it's gonna be yard debris, so. Other than that, I wanna thank the board for doing a good job, and the mayor, putting time in here, and like I said, if there's any questions from any village residents, feel free to call the office here, and we'll see what we can do to address any situations you have.
For the board's information, I've asked Mike to call and order our salt reserve.
I was just gonna ask that question.
We always
I did it last Thursday after our training. We had our OSHA and confined space training Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be getting our 10-hour course certificates to be mailed. Takes a little bit of time to get them to us, but Thursday I did mix, broke into the pile, and I got the shed about half full. I only have very little salt left, save a little bit for the sidewalk machine, but I'm hoping maybe this week or next week we'll get a salt delivery. And if we have any left, it's not gonna hurt anything, because we'll mix it up later, and we'll have it for next year, so.
Yeah, how many tons is ordered?
Usually about 27. We've got, I think we ordered 65, and they brought us 2 loads, which is like 54 tons.
Yep.
We had a little bit left we mixed from last year left over, so it'll be 27 ton, about 27 ton they bring us at a time. So right now our shed mixed up pretty much what we had left, minus a little bit of salt, and our shed's probably not quite half full. But we were down to, half a dozen storms, we probably wouldn't have had any. So at least these warm days right here is the best time to get in there, because some of those pieces broke open that cap in that pile, and some of the pieces I couldn't pick up a loader by clearing off the ground. 9-foot bucket, you've got pieces as big as in here. Once you get underneath it, you're okay, but it's to get it started. But we're in good shape right now as far as what we have mixing. We have a bunch of storms, but you don't know how long winter's gonna be, so we're better to have it. It's not gonna go to waste. If we don't use it this year, we'll be using it next year.
No, I was good, I'm glad you're doing that, this wasn't suggested.
If we get it now, we get it at the lower contract price.
Right. Yeah, I think we're allowed, whatever we ordered, we're allowed, I think, 15% older. And when I had talked to him to ask him about that, we might be a little bit over what we had asked for. And he said, as long as there wasn't a huge shortage, she would give it to us at the same price. So, I think it was only maybe 15 cents a ton more this year than it was last year. So it wasn't a huge.
And as the way this winter is going, I would imagine there's a lot of municipalities that are
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
low
I
on
see
their
a lot of them around,
supply.
they're over half gone, and a lot of them, some of them they don't have sand, so they can't, I don't know what they're gonna do. That's our, Mother Nature helps them out, and
How's our sand holding up?
we got plenty of sand. Other than that, in general maintenance, we had a lot of welding and repair work. Sidewalk machine was a few, we found issues with, of course, you don't use it in the summer, so, the V-plow, the blower. But this was tough going.
What's hard equipment?
You put a heater in there, so.
Yeah, we put a small, the window keeps fogging up, we put a small little heater on the dash below the windshield to keep it thawed out.
Tell the guys to stop breathing when they're in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Imagine taking that,
Have
trying to
you seen
clean the,
Bob running that thing?
trying to clean the sidewalk.
He's a big guy, he feels that
It's rough in there. The machine's rough, and some of the sidewalks you slide off. It's hard to get back on. If there's a lip, you get off the edge and you have a hard time sometimes to, I had to pull them out a few times, but this snow is so hard. It's just, the way it is. That storm that we had, when we first went out, I went out with the boys and, you couldn't even run your leg, you had to run the front slusher, and you had all you could do to keep moving. We try to push you off the road. It's just, one trip run, you don't take the fuel. The way it is.
Yeah, I burned a lot of fuel that night too, it's hard to drive through.
Well, we're not the only ones. I know one of the other towns around had 1,200 gallons delivered on Friday, and Sunday had to call for more fuel, they went through it.
Oh, God.
So we're not the ones in
Yeah,
this,
our fuel expensive yet this year,
yeah.
no doubt.
Okay, anything else for Mike?
No, thank you.
Thanks for all you do, Mike.
Okay, do the correspondence.
Letter to Alves Development LLC regarding electrical inspection for the property at 23 School Street. Bid for rubbish removal from Casella. Lost run report from Chauvin Agency. ACEO monthly report for December 2013. Thank you letter to Lowe's for donation of swings to the playground.
And did we have a 6? Local law from Marshall?
Yeah.
And the 6th is the local law from our village attorney, best value.
Any comments on the correspondence? What we need to talk about is covered under old business and new business. Let's do the old business, bids for garbage removal. We have one from Casella here for, we have a 2-yard.
2-yard dumpster.
2-yard, one time per week, $110 a month. We are currently paying $90 a month.
95.
$95 a month, and we've been offered the opportunity to pay $80 a month. We tabled this last month with the recycling aspect involved. How does the board want to proceed with this?
Well, in looking at Casella's in regards to recycling, can we discuss this now?
Sure.
The 2-yard and the 4-yard trash service, does that include means of recycling, or is that just what we have now?
I think it must have some recycling involved with it.
This is rubbish and recycling removal, I don't know if that means,
I think they're using that zero sort thing.
because I know they list that further down, don't they? The last one says zero sort. So that was my question too.
Yeah,
The way I understood it when I spoke to her was that that's just a dumpster. Those.
the 2 and the 4, the 2, 4, and 8-yard,
Yes,
just trash.
just
That's
trash.
kind of
Just
what,
the dump- Just what we have
Okay.
now, because nothing is recycled. It's the last 2 that are involved with recycling.
And that's your home, the cart to your home
yeah,
style.
the 2-wheel,
I mean, most of the material that we would want to recycle is the shredded paper. I mean, we take care of the cardboard goes out to be recycled.
Yep.
And the shredded paper that we have, the documents that we shred, it is conceivable that on Thursday morning, someone could drive up to the landfill and drop off 2 or 3 bags of the shredded paper from here Doesn't cost anything to drop it off, just drop it off there and then they take care of it.
Right.
So what size do we need? Do we need every week pickup?
Usually 2 yard,
We have a 2-yard.
that's what we have now. Most of the time,
And is it full every week?
not every week, but most of the time it is. I mean, because some of the stuff that was there too are, you know, we had barrels, like a Palmer barrels and stuff that we can't do anything. We would cut them up and put them in there, you know, springtime comes, we have a lot of debris. Once the snow goes away, trash.
Yeah.
Trash to pick up in the village.
You know, if there's stuff around, we try to, I throw a voice probably tomorrow when the snowbank's going down, I see some, pick it up. You know, this wind we have doesn't help. The other day I picked a whole cartload up here and put it back on the side of the road. People had their garbage cans, they had spewed over, and it was all on Main Street. I mean, some of it, it's just the way it is, but most of the time, the dumpster is full, between 3/4 full and full, every week when they come. Might have an odd week where there's less than that, but usually at that time, if we have the extra to go in there, we bring it up and put it in, you know, keep the dumpster full. Gotta get rid of it anyways, no sense of, you know, stockpiling it. So I don't think you can get by with smaller than that.
I think the 2 yard is sufficient, and I also think 1 time a week, picking it up once a week. I don't want to leave it back during the summertime,
No.
So this $80 one is for 2 yard,
once a week,
once a week?
yes.
And
The
we're
same,
currently
that's the
paying
same thing as the
95.
Casella.
And right now it's
Valley
$95.
sanitation.
And they're how much?
Valley
They're 95.
They're 95.
2 yard once a week.
And who is the $80 people?
On a run that.
Yeah, around that.
I run that
Trash, trash.
So that's the best deal.
You see him go through the village with his big trailer behind him and.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, do they have a 2-yard dumpster like we have now?
Yes.
I think they do have both. I think they have a compactor, and they do, but usually the residentials, he will stop and he throws it in his sitting clothes. You get a trailer with a tarp, you see him a lot of times pulling with a pickup.
Yeah.
For the residential, that he picks up with, but I think he's got a compactor too, that's what he uses for the
Businesses.
for the bigger places, for the dumpsters.
All right, need a motion?
Yep.
After this? I make a motion that we go with the Adirondack with the $80. We'd just like to confirm that it's definitely a dumpster.
He was here, he stopped in. Probably should have had him come in tonight and do a presentation. No, he was willing, he asked if we got him to come in. But it's a 2 yard once a week.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any other discussion on this?
No, so that's
We're
the,
expending funds, so we could have a roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley. Aye. Trustee McFetrich. Aye. Trustee Trombley.
aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye.
Actually, we're saving funds, so do you need to vote?
Just to make it official. Any other old business before the board? Okay, new business, have a resolution establishing polling place and time for the 2013 elections. Almost said Olympics.
It should be for the 2014 elections.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, do we have to read this?
I will. Resolution, polling place and time, 2014 elections, Village of Champlain. Whereas the next village election for offices of the Village of Champlain, New York, will be held on March 18, 2014, and whereas the Board of Trustees of said village must designate by resolution the polling place and hours which the polls shall be open per section 15-104-3B of the State of New York election law, then be it therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Champlain has determined the polling place shall be at the Village of Champlain office, 1104 Route 9, Champlain, New York, with the polls being open from 12 noon to 9 p.m. And be it further resolved that as required by section 15-104-3B of the state election law, notice of said village polling place and time. The polls will be open, will be given at least 60 days prior to said election date. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Need a motion to this resolution?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You've all been copied with the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Champlain and the water and wastewater project that we've been involved in for the last 6 or 7 years.
It's been that long.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, that's a great.
But we are nearing the final stretch, hopefully, with grant money available. The award will take place, I hope, next month. This intermunicipal agreement has to be in place by the end of this month, before the 4th of February? 3rd of
The
February.
application is due 3rd of February.
Okay, so the application must be in by the 3rd of February. If not, everything is put on hold until the next grant cycle, which is a year away. So nothing will happen in 2014. Not to put the pressure on you, but there are some things here that we have discussed. There are some suggestions that I have penciled in and talked to our legal guidance, or for legal guidance. The original IMA was for a period of 40 years. The ban is for 30 years. I can't see placing the village under this obligation for another 10 years, extra 10 years. So we brought that back to 30 years, subject to any requirements, financing in the future. I've also requested, and I think the town has agreed in principle to this, at least with my discussions with the town attorney this afternoon. On page 3, no, excuse me, on page 4, the village attorney felt that it was necessary to add a section. You'll see it on the bottom of page 4, under section 8, paragraph D. The parties hereto shall form a 5-member committee comprised of 3 village representatives and 2 town representatives.
Compromised?
Right.
We don't want to be compromised.
No, we'll probably compromise later on. Thank you. Comprised of 3 village representatives, 2 town representatives, who shall oversee and agree to the operation, administration, maintenance, and running of the project. Herein contemplated excluding the setting of rates, and this is the part that is creating the bone of contention here. Excluding the setting of rates or charges contemplated herein, which setting of rates and charges shall be done by the village. I feel it's important that the village, over the length of this agreement, maintains the right to set the rates, the water and wastewater rates for this project. We have, over the last, 20 years or more, we have paid for this service. The village has paid for this service. I am reluctant to give up that ability to establish the rates. As it was explained to me, the rates are dealing with the supply and the operation and administration. And once this project goes through, we will also be dealing with some debt service. I think it's important that the village maintain this rate. I have said so. I think the town, at least with my conversations this afternoon with the village attorney, or the town attorney, that I think they will go along with this. We can make this committee an advisory board. They can advise the day-to-day running of this and the village board will still have to give permission to expend funds to pay for some of these extra maintenance issues. It's not going to be automatic. I'm not going to I don't see us doing that. So, as was explained to me by the engineers, or from the engineers, essentially what the village and the town is paying for raw water is essentially the same. Where the difference is in what is being charged for water is the debt cycle, what is owed, and the amount of debt that is owed. So we are well within, and still, if you look at the water rates, what is being charged throughout the state of New York, we are at the lower end of the median. What we charge both our residents and what we charge the town users, the rates are significantly lower than what other municipalities are paying and are supplying other services for water. But with this new debt, and we're talking a significant amount of money here, we can manage this. The village can manage this increased debt by making some tweaking some water and wastewater rates. But we can do this over the 30-year period without causing a huge increase in the amount that our villagers are paying. I think we can also do this without the town experiencing a huge increase in the rates that they are paying. So it works out on both ends, and you'll notice if you went through this and looked at Part C on this Section 8 water charges, the town is going to pay the village for village operation, maintenance, and administration of all town water districts with an annual stipend, which will be subject to negotiations as time goes by. Any major repairs that we have to do and the maintenance and operation of the town's water supply end of this deal will be over and above. They will have to pay for that. We're not going to absorb that cost. We will take over everything. The maintenance, the repair, the billing, all aspects of the town water situation will be done here in the village as it should have been years ago. And we will be paid for it. So
is the town going to be, the town users going to be charged the rate that we're charging the town, or will the town still be adding to that rate that they're charging? Because there's a misconception out in the community that we, the village, are setting an absorbent rate for the water, but what's happening is they're adding on to what we are charging them and passing it to their consumers.
yes, the way that this works, we have a set charge for the town. Once the town receives the bill, they automatically apply a 10% surcharge. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. A 10% surcharge on top of what they pay us. Then they turn around and they charge a service fee. Now, recently that service fee was increased dramatically.
Yeah, some districts went up.
Some of the districts went up because of the debt issue. Some to the tune of $25 to $60.
I believe so, yes.
And businesses went from 30, I think, or 35 to 100.
I know it was substantial, whatever the number was.
So it is not the village that is causing the rise in these prices for water. And as this project goes along, there will be some modification of what the village is charging, but not in terms of the debt. The town will still be responsible for their debt. We are not going to assume any cost at all. We're responsible for our debt, but nothing for the towns. And they're paying 75% of this project. If you look at Section 8 again, water supply and operation and maintenance is what we charge for usage. B and C are the usage charges. A, B, and C, debt service, water supply, and operation and maintenance administration. That is the charges that we will be applying to the town for the water that they are using. So once a determination is made on the debt service, that will be applied to the town and what the town is being charged. And as explained to me, 25%. The village's share in this project, 25%, and the town's 75%. This was figured by the engineers so that the rates were such that the grant agencies, the comptroller's office would approve this IMA. Because there has to be there's a level of what people pay for water that dictates how much money we're going to get for this grant. And right now, we are well within the limits with this contract. I told the town supervisor this afternoon that we would discuss this this evening, and we would table this until we get further legal advice on this matter. This will necessitate a short special meeting sometime later this month, a date to be announced. But this
Not too late, we want to make sure they have
Right.
time to get this in.
right. Well, as long as
Like next week.
we approve, the town, I think, will approve it as well, with some, I suppose, some talk.
Some reservation.
Some reservations, yes, let's use that term. They understand the time frame that this has to be. Again, Mike and I have echoed this thought, Tom has echoed this thought, I think we all have echoed this thought, that this is the time for this project to go forward.
Well, I think everybody agrees with that. We just, for some reason, the wheels turn slow at times.
Well,
If it doesn't happen now, it'll never come around again.
I honestly believe that if it's not gonna happen this year, this cycle, our children and grandchildren probably will be sitting here fighting the same battle. And it does benefit the village greatly. It really does benefit this village. Or I wouldn't have spent the last.
So can I ask a question, Rick?
You sure can.
In your conversations this afternoon, did you find out if the two lawyers have had a chance to speak on this yet?
They have not.
Do we?
Do they have an appointment to speak?
Yeah, do we have any?
I was told by the town attorney that he will contact the village attorney tomorrow morning and discuss this IMA. If it doesn't happen tomorrow morning, it's going to be extremely difficult because the village attorney is leaving on Wednesday. We'll be in Florida for a couple days, and then we'll be embarking the coast of Florida on a cruise liner.
So if we don't get him by tomorrow,
Well, he will be
they're not
back.
gonna have conversations before this is due.
We can do it by the end of the month. He will be back by the end of the month. But right now,
No, tomorrow they need to meet.
yes.
It needed to be a month ago.
The town attorney understands the importance of this meeting.
Okay.
It
Did you
does
tell
mean
them the
it.
time restrictions with our?
Oh, they're well aware of it, yes.
And our attorney is well aware of it also.
Oh, yes.
But he's not going to take any other phone calls but this one tomorrow morning.
I have his cell phone number, so I can pass that on as well.
Yeah, do that. So they can text, hang up, I'm calling.
But that's where this is. I just want you to know,
Perfect.
after a lot of back and forth here,
Well,
not as
thank
much
you
as
for all your
necessary.
work on that.
But if I didn't believe that this was beneficial for this village, I mean, the water softening aspect of it alone
Right.
is about $1.75 million project, part of this project. Just that alone makes this whole thing worthwhile.
The increased fire flow should go a long ways to lowering insurance rates also.
Yeah,
Yes, that's right.
and this will
You know,
significantly.
people don't think about that, but that's a big thing.
And this will address the pressure issues on Prospect Street. If we don't do it with this project, if this project falls through tomorrow, we're gonna have to go out, hire an engineer, and somewhere is probably between $800,000 and $1 million, $800,000 and $1 million. Set up a pressure system on the top of Prospect. Those folks have waited too long.
Let's hope that the stars align and the warriors get together.
I hope so.
In regards to the paragraph that I know some members had issues with, I just want to say that this is a five-member committee that is being formed. This isn't a actual water board which has control of this. The village still is going to be owner and operator of the water and the wastewater plant.
Yes.
In regards to that, this board has to have final control over any rates that are set, any financial matters at all.
Yes.
I have no problem with that committee making recommendations
Well,
for
actually,
consideration, but
you bring up a very interesting situation, because I envision at least one, if not two, trustees from the village sitting on that committee.
yeah, and so those rates can be discussed and worked out. It doesn't mean that that committee should have control of it though.
That's right, it's an advisory.
Yes, that's the only point I'm trying to make.
Yep, very good, that's a good point. Okay, so I'll keep you up to date on that matter. We need to schedule a public hearing. Need a motion to schedule a public hearing for local law 1 of the year 2014 for the local law. You have this as correspondence number 6. We have talked about this in the past, about adopting this proposal for the best value procurement, part of our procurement policy. We need to amend Chapter 89 procurement policy, amended and supplemented by the addition thereto of a new section 89.8 entitled Award Based for Low Bid or Best Value. And then it goes on to explain under the local law filing the purpose, the award based, the applicability, and the standards for best value, plus the documentation to prove that you have made an attempt in terms of the bid process. I would like to schedule a public hearing at our next board meeting, February 10th at 7 o'clock, for the public to have an opportunity to comment on this law, or this new law. Do I have a motion to do so?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion on this scheduling? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any negatives? Motion carries.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. That's right, I won't be here for that meeting, by the way.
Cross your name off it. Any other new business come before the board?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?